Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Matthew Varga here. As you can tell, I got a new backdrop. It's because we're in a brand new home in Orlando. We're here looking at Airbnb properties that we're going to be adding to our portfolio. So we're staying here for a month while we're checking out new properties, and we're going to be adding those, like I said, to our portfolio and building up our Airbnb business down here in the US. In today's video though, we are going to be talking about 5 ways that you can get started with real estate investing in 2022. Now, I know with property prices just seem like they're exploding, like going up every day over the last few years. A lot of people ask me, well, how the heck do I get into real estate investing when the prices are so high? I've got very little capital to get investing. So in today's video, we're gonna go over 5 different ways that you can get started in real estate investing with little to no money down. I mean, one of the ways that you can get started involves just as little as $10 investment. Yes, you heard that right. With $10, you can start getting exposure to real estate and start adding that to your portfolio and building that up. If you're new to this channel is all about teaching you how to be financially independent and retire early through saving money, investing money, and making more money. Whether you're looking to do that with index funds or Airbnbs or just traditional buy and hold real estate, we've used all these different strategies over the last few years, and it's helped us retire in our 30s, and we're hoping to teach you how to do the same. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where I post more daily videos updating you on our financial journey, so don't miss out on that. All right, let's jump right into the 5 ways that you can get into real estate investing in 2022. First up, we have house hacking. Now, I know house hacking has sort of really hit the mainstream over the last few years. It seems like everyone kind of knows what it is and the benefits of it. But if you don't know what house hacking is, I actually have a video all about how you can live for free by using house hacking. So make sure to go watch that video and you can get a full in-depth description of house hacking, different strategies and ways that you can use it, showing you how you can use it to live for free. But basically what house hacking is, it's when you buy or rent a home and then you rent out the rooms, or if it has a basement apartment, you rent that out to other people, and you use that rent that you're collecting from other people by renting out rooms or a basement apartment to offset your cost for the mortgage or the rent on that house, which allows you to then live for free. For an example, let's just say that you were looking to purchase your first home. It's $200,000, and with your first home purchase, you can get a mortgage with as little as 3.5% to 5% down. So let's just say that you were able to save up enough to put that 3.5% down on a new home. You purchase that $200,000 home. It's a 3-bedroom house. You live in one room, you rent the other 2 rooms out for $500 a piece, let's just say. So now you're collecting $1,000 a month, and that $1,000 is gonna cover your mortgage, and now you're basically living for free except for some of the extra costs, but it's gonna drastically reduce your cost of living each month. And the other cool thing is once you've lived in that house for say a year, you could then hopefully save up enough to put another 3.5% down on another home, and now you purchase a second home using that 3.5% down payment mortgage, and you start to rent out the 3 bedrooms in the first home, which is covering your full cost there. And now in that new home, you move into it, you do the same thing, you rent out 2 of the bedrooms, you live in the third, and now you've got 2 properties in your name, and you've got 5 renters paying you rent each month, and that's helping you to house hack and to live for free. I think one of the key things with house hacking is just knowing that you're gonna be a little less comfortable because you are, giving up some of your private personal space by renting out rooms to other people. But if you're lucky enough, you can maybe rent it out to friends or family members, and then it's just like a nice fun house to live in. But as long as you can get through that short-term sort of pain of maybe living with people. Some people love living with a bunch of other people. They love that community aspect. But for some people like myself, the thought of living with, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in a house, I'm just over that part of my life, so it doesn't sound as fun. But there was a point where it just made sense, and you just sort of get through it, and it helps you to build up that portfolio and build up your real estate investments. All right, option number 2 is to joint venture partner with an experienced investor. So this is where you can definitely get into real estate investing with little money down or little experience. What you're gonna do in this case is you're gonna partner with someone, hopefully someone who's got experience with real estate investing, but even if they don't, if you find a partner who's gonna bring in something that you don't have. So for example, let's just say you're very handy with your hands, you're good at doing renovations. Well, maybe you can partner with someone who has the down payment that you don't have to purchase, a fix and a flip property. You're gonna live in that property, you're gonna fix it up, use your sweat equity that other partners brought the cash in that you didn't have. And now you're sort of combining your skill sets to help you get into real estate investing, and you're gonna, fix that property up, increase the value, and then either you're gonna rent it out or you're gonna live in it or whatever the situation is. But now you've gotten into real estate with very little money down because you're using another skill that you have. Another idea might be, let's just say you don't have the down payment, but you've got great credit, you can qualify for a mortgage, but you need, that down payment assistance from someone else. So maybe you could look to partner with someone who's self-employed, or maybe their credit's a little bruised, but they got the down payment, they're good to go there, but they just can't qualify for a mortgage on their own. You guys could partner up, they bring the money, you bring the ability to qualify for the mortgage. Now you partner together, purchase that home together using your individual skills that you're gonna bring in. And that's another way to get into real estate investing, is to partner up with someone else to get into real estate, to help you get over whatever the obstacle is that it might be, whether that's, like I said, not having the down payment, or if you can't qualify for a mortgage, but you do have a down payment, well, you could look to partner with someone who can help you get that mortgage. So the great thing with sort of these joint venture partnerships is that it just comes down to whatever creativity you guys have. So whatever you guys want to put together, whatever works for you and this partner, you can do it. So that's the beauty of partnering with someone else when getting into real estate, is it can really be, sort of a choose your own adventure. Whatever you need to do, as long as you're creative and you can sort of sell that proposition to someone else, you can get into real estate investing. The third option is to invest some money into a crowdfunding real estate investment site. So a crowdfunding real estate site allows you to get access to, private real estate investment deals that you would have probably never ever had the opportunity to find out about. And basically people put their, whatever their investment is and what they're doing, and you can look over it, you can see what the investment looks like, whether they're doing like a fix and a flip on that home or whatever the investment is. You can sort of like see what the description of it is, see if it fits your business model, if it fits your risk appetite, and then you can invest into that project. So usually with these type of investments, you're gonna get, usually a little bit of a better return, but that's sort of because of the higher risk involved with this. So obviously the higher the risk, the more reward that you would expect as an investor. As with any type of investment, you wanna make sure that you do your research, do your due diligence, like I said, make sure that it's a good investment and that it fits your risk profile. I mean, personally, I think these crowd-funded real estate sites aren't like the key way that you want to try to build your wealth up, but I do think that there is some opportunity in them to sort of add to your investment portfolio if you're looking to get exposure to real estate and you're sort of starting with a like a smaller amount up front. This allows you to get some exposure to real estate, but you want to make sure that it's not like your full portfolio. You want it to just be part of your investment portfolio, but included in that would be like some index funds and stocks and bonds and whatever other investments you're attracted to. So definitely you want to make sure you're not putting all your eggs into this basket. So some of the pros of this type of investment that you might be interested in are, like I said earlier, it does usually pay sort of higher dividend payments just because it does have a bit of a higher risk profile. Typically you need a smaller upfront amount to get in started with some of these compared to purchasing a home and needing that down payment and renovation costs. Obviously the upfront funds needed for this type of investment is significantly smaller than purchasing a home yourself. Another benefit is that it does give you access to some unique private investments that you probably wouldn't have found any other way. So it does give you access to a bit of a bigger variety of real estate investments. And another benefit is, like I said earlier, it does allow you to sort of diversify your investments. So if you wanted to get into real estate and you didn't know how, you didn't have the funds up front to do it, this is a way to sort of start to get a bit of exposure to that in your portfolio. So that's some of the benefits. Now, some of the cons with these types of investments are, well, like one, obviously there can be a higher risk to these investments because you're not investing in a big, billion-dollar real estate investment trust. It's managed by, professionals. So there's obviously going to be a bit of a higher degree of risk for these type of investments, but you can mitigate that by doing your due diligence and doing your research and making sure it is a good investment and you feel comfortable with it. Another con is because this is a bit of a newer type of investment, some of these platforms don't have that lengthy track record that a more conservative investor would be looking to see before getting into investments. So that's one other potential con. Another con would be, typically because you're getting paid dividends with a lot of these investments, you're going to get hit with the taxes on that. But I mean, you know what they say, the more tax you pay, the more money you made. So it's not always a bad thing as long as you're, minimizing your taxes efficiently as possible. Another con is that these, crowdfunding sites usually have different fees that might be associated with it, investment account fees or management fees. So you kind of want to make sure that those fees are like you're thinking of it when you're looking at your total return, so it's not going to eat into your return and really not give you that benefit that you're looking for. And then another con is that some of these sites do require you to be an accredited investor, which means that you need to have more experience and more money up front to get started with them. But if this sounds like an interesting thing to you and you want to look more into it, there is a couple of bigger, more well-known sites. Two of the biggest ones that you may have heard of before are Fundrise and CrowdStreet. So Fundrise has been around for quite a while. It's probably one of the bigger ones that most people would know about when they're looking at these crowdfunding real estate sites. This is a site that their smallest starter package is as low as $10. So with just $10, you could actually start to get some exposure into real estate, and test it out and see if you like this style of investing and if it kind of fits your risk profile and your business model. So, it's got a very low upfront cost, so that's definitely something to look into. The other big one is CrowdStreet. Now this one is more geared towards that experienced investor, so it does have a minimum investment of $25,000. So that might not fit your needs. That might be a little bit higher than you're expecting to get into real estate, but it is an option for people out there. So as you can see, there's quite a big variety between, like small upfront, $10 to get started, or $25,000 minimum. So do your due diligence. If this sounds like it's interesting to you, do your research, see what might work for you, look at reviews, look at other people's track records, and just, if it seems to be something you're interested in, then they have been around a while. There are a lot of people who invest in them, so it is a viable way to get into real estate and start to get that exposure. They're not scams or things that haven't been around a long time. So definitely worth looking at if you're trying to get into real estate with a little bit lower money down. All right, option number 4 is investing in a real estate ETF. So maybe if the sound of those smaller crowdfunding things that we just went over there just doesn't sound appealing to you, it just sounds too risky, it just hasn't been around long enough for you. Another option that you could invest into real estate is a real estate ETF. An ETF is an exchange traded fund. And really what an ETF is just like a pool of money that all gets put together, and that money is then used by a big institutional investing company that goes around and purchases real estate and has a portfolio holding of real estate. Usually it's got apartment buildings, office buildings, hospitals, storage facilities. So there's a big variety of different types of real estate that can be held in these real estate investing ETFs. There's also ones that might be just focused strictly on apartment buildings or strictly on storage units, or one that kind of has a big collection of a lot of different things. So if this sounds like something that might just fit your investment needs a little bit better, just because it has a longer track record, it's run by a huge billion-dollar fund that manages all these properties all around the world. So you're sort of getting that skilled expertise that means that you're probably going to have a little bit lower risk profile. You could look at one of the big ones out there is Vanguard Real Estate Trust. So I think I've talked about this before in a previous video, but if you want to look that up, the symbol for it is VNQ. You can go on there and you can look to see what the holdings are for this real estate trust. I think on average over the last 15, 20 years, it's averaging about just under a 10% return each year. So obviously they know what they're doing. It's a good investment. I think at the time of recording here, let me see, I think you could buy one share of VNQ for $109. So it's a little bit more than that $10 entry with the crowdfunding sites, but for $110, you can make a purchase of a real estate ETF, and you are getting exposure to real estate investing that's managed by someone else, that's passive, that's hands-off. But as the real estate market does well and keeps going up, which I think we're all anticipating it will, just because of the money that's being pumped into the system, this allows you to actually get exposure to real estate with just $100, so you don't have to worry about saving up that big down payment. So it's one way that you can passively invest in real estate. So definitely, if this is something that interests you, take a look. There's that Vanguard fund, like I mentioned before. I think most big institutional companies have a real estate trust that you could look into. So there's a ton of options out there. Don't just go with what I'm saying, but do your research, see what works for you. But definitely a good way. And like I said, that fund was generating 10%, a year. So I think when I looked at the site, if you would have invested $10,000 in 2011, it would have grown to over $25,000 today. So, and that would have been hands off. You would have just put that money in, left it, and let someone else do the magic and manage the properties and deal with all the tenants and deal with all that. You don't do any of it. You just, benefit from the growth in real estate. And most of these ETFs also pay, a dividend or some sort of payment as a portion of the rent that they collect. So look into it if it's something that interests you. I have some real estate ETFs in my portfolio, as well as owning real estate. So I'm kind of getting the best of both worlds. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention is that ETFs are traded on the stock market just like any other stock or share. So you can quite easily go on and set those up as long as you have a trading account. If you don't know about trading accounts and sort of how to set that up and how that works, I actually have a series for beginning investors that goes over, like what you need to know as a beginning investor, stock investing 101, index fund investing 101. So I'll link that down below. So if you're still sort of getting started with investing, it's a great place to start. A lot of good info there, give you that base foundation, and then you can look at building onto it with these real estate ETFs and other things. So make sure to check out that playlist if you're just getting into investing, and it's definitely going to help you out. All right, so tip number 5, if you do follow me on Instagram or follow me on YouTube for a while, then you guys know that this last year in 2021, we just got started with Airbnb and Airbnb Arbitrage, and we love it. Like, we just love the value that you can get out of Airbnb Arbitrage. So if you don't know what Airbnb Arbitrage is, I'm not going to go into the full details of it. I actually have a video that I'll link down below that goes over just sort of what Airbnb Arbitrage is and pros, cons, how much money we make. I have some videos on the different Airbnbs that we have set up, but the amount of cash that you can generate, cash flow from these Airbnb Arbitrage once you get them set up, it's pretty crazy. I mean, with an investment of, so for example, some of our investments, we put up, $18,000 to get a house furnished and all set up, and then it's generating $3,000 a month in cash flow. So, we make our money back in 6 months, and then it's all profit after that. So that's just an example of the benefit of Airbnb Arbitrage. And like I said, the amount of capital that you need to get set up, you're not putting a down payment down on a property, you're just doing first and last month's rent, and you're just furnishing the place. So depending on how creative you get with the furnishing, you can furnish it for, expensive, or you can do it cheaper if you're, going on Craigslist and sort of a bit of a deal hunter. So you can definitely get a house set up with, a pretty low upfront cost, and then start renting it out on Airbnb and generating that cash flow on top of like your expenses each month. So it is a fantastic way to get into real estate investing without that much money up front. It just takes a little bit of legwork, a little bit of hustle, and then once you have it up and running, it just literally just prints money. So, I also have a free Airbnb Arbitrage guide. I'll link that down below or put it up here. You can go and download that, and it just gives you sort of a full beginner's guide to how to get this set up and how to get things going and pros and cons. It's a great resource to get into Airbnb Arbitrage if it sounds of interest to you. But there you have it. Those are 5 different ways that you can get into real estate investing with as little as $10 down. I mean, I wanted to give you sort of a bit of a variety of options. Some require $10, $100, 10,000. Some you might not need any money if you're partnering with a JV partner and they're bringing that cash in like we talked about earlier. So I wanted to give you different ideas that will spark some interest, and depending on sort of what you're willing to do and your risk profile and all these other things. So hopefully out of these 5 different ideas, you found one that you think like, that's for me, I can do that. And hopefully it gave you the inspiration. If you want to keep building on your knowledge and looking at what's possible with real estate investing, then watch my other videos. I've got a ton of videos there on real estate investing and finance and how to retire early. So make sure you watch some of these old videos and just get caught up. And all I can say is I'm just excited for 2022. I think it's going to be a great year. We've got a lot of great ideas for content this year. We're going to be doing more Airbnb setups, so we're going to be filming that and taking you along on the journey as we're building up, our US-based Airbnb business. We're going to get properties in, Florida and Hawaii and just sort of all across the US, and then start looking into Europe and other places. So I think it's going to be a cool thing. So make sure you're subscribed so you can follow along on that journey. And if you guys have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below here, or you can DM me on Instagram and I'll be sure to help you out or give you some guidance or answer your questions there. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with a friend if you know someone who's looking to get into real estate investing and you think this video will help inspire them. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.